Hello, and welcome everyone. Can you guys hear me? Hope the sound works really well this time because we have a lot to cover today. Um, I think it seems the sound works well, the video works well. So, friends, ladies, gentlemen, really great to have you guys here and have this conversation on this town hall that is the first one in a very long time. We have a lot to cover today, a lot to discuss, and I have a lot of notes to actually go through almost in rapid fire to be able to cover them, clearly set the context, and reach a kind of great conclusion for what we're attempting to do. The most important point is to understand that once we go through all this details after the town hall, you'll be able to read everything black and white in a post that goes through all these details. We'd be curious to hear thoughts, productive feedback, and improve things as we move forward. So today's conversation is a lot about winning, what it takes to win, and the steps that we are taking to win, to make things happen, and to accelerate on everything that we believe really matters. And so to do this, I'd like to first go through some of the things that clarify a few of the important matters that we've learned and discovered during the last period, cover a lot of the projects where we've undertaken and their status and how we're moving forward with them. And most importantly, focus on what we're doing with the protocol, because the network is the thing that underpins everything we're doing. And this is where our main focus goes. So what does winning actually mean? What does it take to win? First, it means focus. It means doing less. It means clarifying this so that we can put everything, all the focus and energy we got, into the key things that matter. So to do this, I'll first go through some of the things that we've discovered were not very clear. Not very clear sometimes to us, not very clear to the community and to the people that we've interacted with. So the first step we've actually taken is to clarify the distinction of three entities that we have. First, the MultiversX network. This is the core of everything we've built. This is the infrastructure that sustains everything. It's the backbone and powerhouse of the entire ecosystem. This is what makes everything possible. So we're excited about the progress we've made on this front, excited the key things that have been released, that some of them are unparalleled within the entire blockchain space. And this is important because some of the key stakeholders that generally are part of the network, which for some people are obvious, for some people are not, are developers and builders, validators, and general contributors, community, and maybe even investors. But this is the key point about the network. The network doesn't have a CEO. The network doesn't have a team. The network is the technology that sustains everything. This is why it's a distributed and decentralized network with more than 3,200 validators geographically distributed around the world. This is the first thing. Now, the second thing is the MultiversX Foundation. And the MultiversX Foundation is the key entity driving adoption and building awareness for this technology. It's sort of the growth engine that essentially makes sure that the technology is taken out of the lab and put in the hands of people, put in the hands of businesses, of different entities around the world that use the technology and experiment with it. The focus here is clear: to actually grow the community, create awareness, accelerate adoption. not for profit, but for growth for the ecosystem. Now, there's also a third entity, which is the MultiversX Labs. And the MultiversX Labs is the entity through which we've taken and undertaken many, many experiments, the entity through which we innovate and push this technology into products that we incubate, that we take out into the world. Some of these products, as you will see, worked out exceptionally, and some of them were the bedrock of some very important lessons that we've now taken home, incorporating in everything we're doing, and through which we're pushing things forward. Now, the important part about the network, the foundation, and the labs is that they set the interplay within the ecosystem. There are many builders, many startups, many other entities in the ecosystems on the builder side and developer side, on the validator side, and then also on the partners and contributor side. But these three entities we want to have much clearer. We want to have with much clearer focus and roles, and we want to have all differentiated such that during the next months, we'll be looking for a new potential president and leadership for the foundation to help complementary accelerate many of these experiments, many of these efforts that we're actually doing. So with this, we're essentially clarifying the roles, separating them, and making sure that each of these entities have a clear aim, a clear purpose that is being followed, and this sets the right kind of context to enable us to win. Now, the most important part is that for most of the people probably in the community, this was in some sense clear, but with time, as things scale, it's even more important to have things even more clear and laid down in black and white so that we can iterate on them, explore them, and even get feedback from you on them. Now, a second point that I was making that we believe is extremely important, especially if we are serious about winning, is the idea of doing less. Why? Because we've been doing so many things. We've been doing so many projects, so many initiatives, so many efforts. All this effort has been sort of clouding the key points that we want to drive home, that we want people to understand and to hear and to take with them. And some of the noise that all these experiments creates sometimes cloud the key path that MultiversX as a network has in front of it. So this is why we're taking the step to actually clarify, reevaluate all the projects we've generally undertaken throughout the time and clearly state a bit of a status update on them and the key point of where we are right now and how we're looking at them. Because at the end of the day, the entire conversation is one, to make sure that these projects are aligned to what we're doing, to make sure that we're winning with them, and even more important, to make sure that MultiversX has an edge if we continue and double down on those projects. So to make it very clear, we have some projects that will temporarily pause and discontinue for the time being. We have some projects that will immediately separate with independent setups, teams, clear targets, clear focus that will have their own path, and some projects about which we're even more excited because we're ready to actually also do some fundraising rounds for them and give them even more space. We're excited about all of this because in some sense, each of these experiments have paved the way for us to come here, for us to learn some invaluable lessons. And these lessons, if taken to heart, give us an edge in everything we're trying to do. In some sense, everything we've experimented with either makes for a great win at some point or provides some invaluable lesson that we can further use and build on. So with that said, I'll take the first project, X-Worlds. X-Worlds has been an important experiment with invaluable insights. We've actually taken the technology, explored many things, invested resources and time, and have reached a point where we've essentially concluded that this is not the best bet to actually continue further. Why do I say that? Well, we made a lot of progress on the different experiments that we had, but specifically concluded that the technology was still 10 to 100x more expensive than it needed to be in order to build a pipeline of businesses that really use this technology, in order to see the adoption that we really want, and in order to win. Now, the question is always, for each of the bets that we're making, is this the right way to spend resources? Is this the right way to double down and leverage everything that MultiversX is to be put to even better use? And is the investment that we're making going to help us win? If we believe that the timing is not right or the technology is not there, and if we believe that in order to have a chance at winning, not have a guarantee, have a chance at winning, this bet would take another 50 to 100 million during the next 2 years, then we come to a conclusion where we take this lesson home, we evaluate it, and we say the current timing, the current state of the technology, and the current state of things does not make the best of bets for MultiversX to continue, for X-Worlds to continue, sorry. So to conclude, X-Worlds has been paused starting with 2024, June of 2024, because we want to save the resources that we would put there and double down on something that makes much more sense at this point and enables us to win with a deeper force and more intensity. This is one of the experiments. Moving one step further, there's another experiment that we've played with, that we've invested a lot of energy in, and that we've learned a lot from. This is X-Fabric. Now, X-Fabric has gone through 2 iterations. The first one targeting a certain market with a certain product. We've experimented, explored with some people in the community, with early adopters, but that has not worked. We've gone through a second iteration that you'll read also in the document, where this has essentially tried to compress the time to market for developers, give them a better tooling, and enable them to iterate much faster. However, we've come to the point where we believe that at this moment, if we are serious about winning, we neither can commit the bandwidth or the resources to really make this take off. So for X-Fabric, again, we have a situation where we're putting it on hold to spend and invest all the resources in the things that matter the most. Now, for both X-Worlds and X-Fabric, we reserve the time to reevaluate these opportunities in the future and look at the lessons we've learned, look at the things we received, and see if they make better sense, if the timing is right, and if we can win. If we can do that, then we'll explore them together and reevaluate that opportunity in the future. Moving on, I'll take X Exchange. Now, X Exchange has been making great progress. It has launched the V3 version and is very focused on accelerating everything. Now, X Exchange is in a great position because very soon X Exchange will have essentially a completely new setup with independent team being able to self-fund and accelerate its path. This sets the right context for X Exchange to win and make much faster progress, to accelerate, to explore and iterate, and to do so in the best context with the best team and in a very, very clear and aligned way. So we're quite happy and excited about the progress, and the X Exchange probably team will have some updates during the next period on what's coming, on how things are changing, and where things are going. But I'm quite excited and convinced that the team will bring some great experiments, will increase speeds, and has some good things in store. Now, in addition to X Exchange, there's also X Launchpad. X Launchpad is again a great experiment. We've set this up to enable builders and new startups to come on MultiversX, get liquidity, be able to iterate, and be able to take ideas from the stage of being ideas to the stage of having real products launched and deployed and grown with an entire community around them. Now, this also means that startups are tricky, they're risky, they're difficult, they won't happen overnight. There is also no guarantee that startups will work out. But this is the idea. This is why startups have a great upside, because they also come with risk. If you can discern that, if you can iterate on that, if you can find the right kind of people that can push through the difficult times, then startups are a growth engine that is extraordinary for the entire economy. This is why X Launchpad is great, and this is why it brings a lot of value to the ecosystem. Now, for X Launchpad, there's also a new team with a new structure, completely independent setup that is taking things to the next level with faster speeds, more experimentation, more iterations, some clear targets. And I think on this, you'll also probably hear some updates, but specifically from the X Launchpad team. Now, you remember that I said that in order to win, first, we don't need to add more things. First, we need to take a step back and be very serious about the things on which we want to bet, because we're serious and want to see them win, and because we believe that the timing is right for us to make them win. This is why the first two projects, we've outlined what we're doing with them. Now, the second two, X Exchange and X Launchpad, we outline a completely new setup, completely independent team, and clear targets on which we can accelerate. There's another three projects, actually, that we've experimented with and have made quite some progress with. The first one is, of course, X Money. Now, X Money has been by far the most difficult and challenging project we've undertaken. And this has been so not because of technology reasons. It has actually been because of a very completely different language that's being spoken in kind of a regulated, fully regulated environment by central banks that comes with, let's say, slow iteration speeds, slow business cycles, a lot of specificity that has to do with payments, and a lot of, let's say, painful lessons to learn. But we're now at the point where this is all changing. We've learned some very interesting and difficult lessons. We've spent a lot of energy and resources to make this happen. And we're now very, very close to sharing some news around X Money having new leadership with, again, very clear structure, very clear setup, but the new leadership is here to take things to a completely new level with the right kind of network, with the right kind of connections, with the right kind of mindset and experience to really move this with a very different speed. There's also a conversation that we're into, which is closing a fundraising round specifically for X Money. Now, I don't want to share too much on this because the team will, in fact, share this as soon as things are ready and as soon as they are closed. All I can say is that we've never been closer to something truly exciting on the front of experiments that we are undertaking in parallel to what has been happening with MultiversX as the main driver. So we're very excited about that, and things are moving in the right direction. At the right time, once things have reached a good milestone, there will probably be an update coming from the X Money team. Now, moving one step further, I'll also talk briefly about X-Portal. X-Portal has been an extremely interesting experiment. A lot of progress, a lot of experiments, a lot of adoption, a lot of great energy from people, not only enabling them to take the first step in the crypto space for the first time, but then also protecting them, also giving them a space from which they can keep their money without having it being stolen, but then furthermore, can explore other ecosystems, can use this in real life with cards and all of that. And for all these experiments, we've learned a tremendous amount of things. And we believe we're now ready to also engage in a very serious way with X-Portal separately on its own path to actually raise around and accelerate things tremendously. There as well, separate team, separate setup, very, very excited about where things are going. And I believe with each of these steps, we're not only making it clear where these experiments play, what their role is, but also what their role is not. They can never and should never be confused with MultiversX as the network, as the main driver. This is why we're clarifying things. There will be many experiments. There will be many explorations. Some of them will work out, some of them not. But this is extremely important that experiments are done, that we learn the lessons and accelerate on them. Now, the last project that I'll outline and mention is XDay. XDay is also moving to a self-sustainable phase. Why? It's clear. Making XDay the leading platform for Web3 and perhaps even AI for startups, ambitious ideas and startups in 2025 will be a great endeavor. But that's also a separate bet, a separate experiment. It will have its own team. It already has a distinct and clear setup, and it should not take the front seat. We're in a great position with this as well because we're happy about what's coming in Munich and also happy about this experiment that will happen globally, but in 2025. So to summarize, the realignment essentially means that our energy goes on what truly matters, on where we see we can win, and on where we see things add tremendous value to MultiversX as a network and ecosystem. We believe this is the right kind of thing to do and the healthy step that happens in the life cycle of any network, any ecosystem, and any experiment that can be and should be sustained over several years. Now, I've said all of this because I was mentioning that winning starts with war mode, which means focus mode, which essentially means that we're first taking out everything that we believe takes energy from us, takes resources, and does not put us in a situation to immediately win. By doing so, we're actually leaner, lighter, and even more ready to pursue with maximum intensity what we actually care about the most. This is the MultiversX network, of course, and protocol. And maybe to share this, I'll also share the screen with probably 2-3 ideas that we have, where we are trying to nail and align the most important things about MultiversX. As you'll read in the document as well, you'll see a kind of reclarification of what MultiversX stands for. The fact that the MultiversX network is live, that it's by far the most scalable blockchain network in the world, and this is live today, is the thing that really matters. Now, beyond that, we want this technology to be used. We want this technology to be put to greatest use possible. So this is why we've taken the steps, the time to outline a strategy for how MultiversX should play, should think, and should organize everything such that both internally in the foundation and in the labs and in the ecosystem for everyone, we have things clear and we can align them, ladder them to these efforts to make sure that we understand if they're valuable, if they're useful, and if we should double down on them because they bring the right kind of outcome. So what do I mean by that? When we discuss about the strategy, what we discuss about is essentially a plan to win. So the question is, how should we think about the protocol and the network when it comes to the plan to win? And to do this, I'll share my screen and share a few ideas about a visual version of perhaps looking at MultiversX. And I'm curious if you can see my screen. Yeah, I hear that everything is good and it works. So here's a very simple progression of how you can think about everything we've built. We had the Elrond, of course, and some people remember Elrond. The new people maybe do not remember Elrond, but this was our first step. Then we had MultiversX, and we had MultiversX and these several projects that we've attempted, that we've experimented with, that we've explored. Further, we're focusing on clarifying, nailing, simplifying, on the idea of less is more, because the clearer things become on this front, the faster we can iterate on them, the better people understand what we stand for, and the better it is for the entire ecosystem to build, to align, and to just coordinate around some of the things that we really care about. So, beyond looking at that, a good way to think about the MultiversX network, the protocol, is thinking about these 5 pillars that make a flywheel. And if you will, if the MultiversX network is this engine that's massive, here you see the reactors that are the pillars that make this engine really take off. And of course, you'll see me briefly outline each of the pillars. So building this hyper-scalable blockchain network where we focus on some things, building a powerful dev platform where we focus on some other things, building a vibrant ecosystem of apps on top, and then creating deep capital markets. On top of all that, there's one thing that we've been discussing a lot, we've been hearing feedback, a lot of feedback, which is maximum impact marketing. Now, I'll briefly go through each of the points. just to outline what I mean, and then you'll be able to see all of that in the documents that we're going to share. So the first pillar is essentially this hyperscalable blockchain network, which means we're building a scalable, fast, secure, accessible, and decentralized blockchain network to enable mass adoption. How do we measure this? Well, the first step that we can look at is we want to see 100,000 transactions per second, 1 second finality, 99% availability, and 0.002 transaction cost. Now, of course, you see that we already have some of these things in place and that we're in a great position. We also have 3 key drivers that improve this first pillar. Add to it, make it very crystal clear what the team that focuses on this pillar will focus on. The 3 key drivers are sub-second finality. This will be probably one of the biggest things that will come to the entire MultiversX network and ecosystem, and we're extremely excited about that. Second, sovereign chains, and they take the idea of expansion and bringing it in a very different direction than the sub-second finality part. Then parallel execution. Now, these are not things that we're throwing here and then making the entire conversation around them, and then we're just saying tomorrow we'll have this. These are very big milestones. Each of them has an entire set of many efforts, tasks to be done in themselves. And when one of these drivers comes on and is ready, it will change everything for the network. It will improve it tremendously and will add tremendous value. But what I'm trying to focus on, and you'll read, is we have this first pillar, which is about the network. Building a scalable, fast, secure, and accessible decentralized blockchain network to enable mass adoption and setting a key North Star metric as a first step. This we might change later in some time, but for now, this is really great because it not only creates clarity, but then it gives us a way to measure the progress and state where we are. I'll move to the second pillar, which is one pillar on top or below, however you want to look at it. Perhaps you can think about this as a funnel or a flywheel. The second pillar is building a powerful dev platform that enables anyone to build compelling, scalable, secure, and magical products on chain. How do we measure this? Well, a first North Star metric will be 1,000 active developers per month. This is not only clear because it's distinct from what we're doing with the protocol, but it's also very clear in how we want to measure it and what the tools should do to enable this. Now, to do this, we, of course, have some things that are key drivers, just as in the other conversation. One of the key drivers, for instance, becomes simplifying the tools to essentially accelerate time to market. This is a very hard way of compressing things to reach this conclusion that at the end of the day, the tools should literally be measured in how much they simplify the path for a builder when they want to achieve deployment and attack the market. This is one of the key drivers, and here we'll optimize and accelerate. Another key driver is enabling, offering better education, whether it's documentation, whether it's tutorials, whether it's examples. That's really, really important. And then a third part is enabling milestone-based incentives for developers to get them to start, to get them to play with the technology, simplify their path, but then also get some value for them for each of the milestones that they're achieving and launching. remember I was mentioning the first pillar. Now I've gone through the second pillar. I'll move forward to the third pillar, which is on top of this, we want to cultivate a vibrant ecosystem of apps, giving consumers and businesses a magical and compelling reason to be on chain. This means we're not B2B, we're not B2C, we are B2B2C. It means we want to nurture this vibrant ecosystem of apps so that they themselves can leverage everything that has been built and bring a great experience to users and businesses around the world. This also has a very clear and, in some sense, simple way of tracking. The first step to track the North Star KPI is 1 million monthly active addresses on chain. Moving one step further, the point will be to nurture deep capital markets, create a deep capital market that makes MultiversX and equaled the center of the interconnected multi-chain economy. This is on top of everything. I was mentioning the network. On top of the network, we were mentioning the developer platform. On top of the developer platform, we were mentioning the vibrant ecosystem of apps. And on top of that, we want deep capital markets that make MultiversX and eGold the center of everything that has been built. So how do we measure that? Well, a first step as a North Star KPI will be having $1 billion of assets on this platform. This is not the final step, of course. There's a lot of space to move beyond that, but this is an effort of clarifying, simplifying, and moving things to the next level. So moving one step further, I'll add the fifth pillar, which is maximum impact marketing. Maximum impact marketing ignites and fuels the growth engine, turns every milestone into a dynamic, meaningful, and shareable moment, driving awareness and user adoption and capital flows. So how will we measure all this? Of course, 10x amplification in awareness, in user adoption, in developer engagement, capital flows on all pillars. But I think the best way to perhaps discuss this would be to invite Adam, our new colleague, to come in and tell you a bit about this idea and how we're thinking about it.
Hi, Beniamin. Thank you for the welcome.
Adam.
And also, guys, thank you for welcoming me to the MultiversX family. I've got a black shirt on, as you can see. I don't quite have the logo on it yet, but we're getting there. We're not quite twins. I'm trying to grow a beard, so I look like I'm part of the MultiversX family. So thank you, guys, for welcoming me.
Sure.
Let's just state who I am and what I do. I'm Adam Bates. I am the former CMO of IOHK and Cardano. You might have heard of ADA. It's been pretty successful. And now I'm super excited that I'm the CMO of MultiversX. Now, why have I joined you guys? Because marketing is about telling stories. And boy, you've got a great story to tell. However, there's something that we say, we use this analogy. You guys have built an amazing, beautiful paradise island, but nobody's come to visit. Now, my job, I'm your virtual tourist board. My job is to get people to come to this island, millions and billions of people, and that's why I'm here. Now, whatever anybody tells you, marketing isn't complicated. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It has to do two things. First of all, you have to stand for something. And you have to ask yourself, what does MultiversX stand for? What's its brand? What's its vision? What's its mission? Honestly, you're not going to go through the hell of a rebrand. I'm not talking about that. But if we look at, say, Netflix says, what's our vision? Entertain the world. How are we going to do it? We're going to create the best streaming service and the best original content. 10 words, everyone united. That's how we now need to tell our story to the world. The second thing is, and I've always believed this, content is king. Now, facts tell. You've got great facts. You've got documentation of facts everywhere. That's really nice. But stories sell. And boy, have you got a story to tell. And that's what I'm here to do. Now, I love events, but I'm not going to be in Munich, guys. I'm really sorry. Instead, I'm going to South Korea. I'm going to South Korea. I'm going to Seoul. I'm going to Busan. And that's because we need to share our vision for X Day Global 2025. And almost that is proof that we're now going into this win mode. And we are going to take our story to the world. And we're going to tell our story globally. So I can't wait to meet you guys in person at our next event. But I'm probably, more than anything else, deeply thankful to the conversation Beniamin and I have had, and actually having a chance to take a story to the world that's going to make a difference. So thank you again for welcoming to family. And guys, reach out for me and also tell me if I deserve to wear a black shirt with a logo on as well, if they've got my size.
We'll definitely fix that. Welcome, Adam, and we have a lot of stuff to do. Yeah. Can't wait to dive into that. Guys, I think this is, at the end of the day, a kind of defining moment for us. And we're ready because we've taken the steps to clarify things, to focus on them, and to set everything for relentless execution. I think this is our moment, and we're really excited to both take away some things and clarify them and put maximum energy, intensity, and boldness in the things that we care the most about. There's a lot of progress on many, many fronts, and I think we're going to be able to tell a different type of story. We're super excited about that. So in closing, I'll just mention 3 things. 1, come to Munich. Although Adam is not there this time, we're still looking forward to see you. I am very much looking forward to see you, hear from you, hear feedback, and so forth. I think this is our moment to align, to strategize, and to really attack things in a way that make a difference. And we have everything it takes to really do that. Second, we've already thought about the next town hall. This is a good sign. We're moving forward. December the 10th will be the date for the next town hall. This way, you can already plan around it. You'll hear some updates. This way, we'll also have a kind of checkpoint on some of the things that we've been discussing about, that we've been aligning with maybe founders, the ecosystem, and so forth. And we're looking forward to that as well. Lastly, we've been thinking about a new way to also give you some glimpse into the things that we've been doing, the story we've been writing together, and give you also a kind of backstage view of some of the things that we've not discussed about at all. And I think tomorrow we'll share a bit of a teaser around this. Very happy to hear your thoughts once we do and so forth. Don't overblow this. This is just from the heart in some sense, giving you a front seat in what's happening with us, with MultiversX. And I think you'll love it and you'll enjoy it. And we'll very much look forward to hearing your thoughts. Now, we've gone through a lot. I'm sure that you're still wondering where some things should be put, how they should be interpreted. And we've thought about this, and as mentioned at the start, we'll share a document with you that outlines everything, that gives you space to think, to process, and sleep on some of the things. Bottom line is, I think we've never been in a better position to attack things and to really make an impact, to win. And we want to thank you for being with us, being here. And let's make this happen, guys. Thank you, and talk very soon. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.